Welcome back, my friends, to episode 2 of 66ina66.com. Today I'm going to talk about the car choice of what car to choose to take across country from Chicago to Santa Monica on Route 66. Instead of taking a big luxury land yacht, I wanted to take a Grand Touring car, a GT car. And the original concept of the GT really stems back, I think everybody knows, from Ferrari with the 250 GTO Gran Turismo Omologato. Or Grand Touring homologated to translate into English. But basically the idea of a GT car was Grand Touring. How can you go long distances in comfort and in style, but yet sporty? We're not talking Rolls-Royce luxury. We're talking having some fun over mountain passes and mountain roads in Europe. And then that concept then transferred over to the US as we made GT cars. Now the GTO from Pontiac, John DeLorean creation, was that first attempt at a Grand Touring car. And that was a bit bigger than what we're kind of used to. And then the Mustang GT is certainly one. The Camaro, the upscale versions kind of have that same theme, the RS and the SS. And then as well, in the Mopar lines, they had those kind of cars as well. But what car to take to do a Grand Tour with? So, three choices that I basically had narrowed it down to: the 289 Cobra, or really the 427 SE body style in a replica or coupe, the 66 Corvette, and the 66 Mustang. And so we'll get into and look at each of the different models and the pros and cons and kind of talk about them and what's good and what's bad and why. We start with the Cobra Coupe, famous in the early 60s. Great car, great performance, great handling, loads of fun, but one serious drawback: no top. Lots of horsepower options, lots of engine options, starting with the Fox body Mustang transplant, where you take a 5-liter out of an early Fox body and the suspension, wrap the Cobra kit around it, and you've got a nice performance automobile at a budget price, starting in the mid-20s. Many engine upgrades: 289, 302, 351, anywhere from 3, 4, 500 horsepower for those, plus the big blocks you can get 427, 428 with 5, 600 horsepower. Price goes up accordingly. Interior is a bit Spartan, not much to it. Really no storage, no radio, exposed to the elements. You can get a hard top with the side curtains, but it's a rough ride. You're just getting buffeted all the time. Not a good choice. Now the Corvette, very civilized. Here's the convertible. Same thing with the coupe. Coupe might be a little pricier, starting in the mid-50s and low 60s for daily drivers that need some work. Many engine options, starting with the base 327, 300 horsepower, 350 horsepower, as well as the 365 and 375 with the fuel injection. And of course you've got big blocks as well, the 427 and the 390 horsepower and 425 horsepower versions, which make this Corvette really a performer. Here we've got one with an aftermarket aluminum intake, and this has the optional air conditioning. Wonderful cars. The 4-wheel independent suspension makes for great handling and a great drive, and really a nice cruiser, plus the nostalgia of the Route 66 TV show. Fantastic interior. I love this interior, one of my favorites of all time. I love the aircraft style door where the door wraps up into the roof. The double pinnacles for the instrument panel, one over the instrument cluster, one over the glove box. You've got that nice sideways radio in the center section. Steering wheel out of the wood grain and the nice thin wood with a 3-spoke center. And then of course the stick shift is right at your hand where it needs to be. And then the fender bulges. Beautiful car, but pricey. Now we've got 3 models of Mustangs. We've got the coupe shown in the GT livery, and then as well as the fastback, which is another wonderful car, commanding a premium with that fastback body style. Coupe starting in the low 20s. Fastbacks are really 50s and up and 60s. Same thing with the convertibles in that same price range. Fastbacks maybe a little more expensive. Your GT package adds a premium, as well as depending on the engine options. 289 2-barrel is standard with 200 horsepower. The 4-barrel adds 25 to that. The K code, which adds another $20,000 in price, bumps to 271, and that's the engine used in the Shelby GT350s. You can get a lot of engine upgrades that come on these cars. Owners tend to modify them. You can add 20% horsepower with headers, aluminum intake, and a nice Holley carburetor without any trouble, which makes it a very sprightly performer. The basic interior is pretty standard. You've got the nice round speedometer, which I like, a difference from the 65. 3-spoke wheel with the horn in the center. Standard door trim panels, rather flat, and standard seats. Pony interior makes the door trim panels a lot fancier with padded center section and the padded armrest. The seats have the Pony logo on the back, as well as the wood grain dash, and I love that wood grained 3-spoke wheel with the horn blow in the center. And the winner is, if you read my blog, you know by now, dun, da, da, dum, the 66 Mustang Coupe. With prices in the low 20s to start with, it's easy to add performance parts if it's not a GT, or if I want to add any of the Pony interior options to make it really perform and look nice. And so there you go. So for under $3,000, I've got a great car to drive across country on Route 66.